Hello, hello, All-Star Sports Show, Week 2. We're rolling good today. We're killing it. We're going to start things off a little bit differently with the NBA playoffs recap. Merrick DeCash.
And Ethan Smythe.
And tell us a little bit about the NBA playoffs recap.
Well, there were a couple upsets in the NBA playoffs, most notably the Golden State Warriors over the Denver Nuggets, and the Memphis Grizzlies over the LA Clippers, mostly status quo, and the Miami Heat, as expected, sweeping their way to the second round.
And I like watching basketball. I like watching NBA playoffs, and it's really interesting to me. The matchups in the first round. Nobody expected the Chicago Bulls to beat Brooklyn without Derrick Rose. Miami Heat, obviously status quo there. Do you have a prediction for the finals, Ethan?
I could see Miami going to the finals, but I like Golden State out of the West. They seem to be a pretty good group of guys there that could challenge the Thunder and the Spurs, who they're playing in this round.
And I was one of the only ones to pick Golden State to beat the Denver Nuggets. I simply think Golden State is a good team because of Stephen Curry and all he has to offer there in Golden State. But that's it for our NBA playoffs recap. Stay tuned to the All-Star Sports Show.
All right, welcome back to the All-Star Sports Show. Now we're going to discuss the NHL playoffs. Merrick, what do you think about the series in the East so far?
Well, we're going to start with Pittsburgh and the New York Islanders, and I really like this series. Going into the playoffs, everybody thought, oh, Pittsburgh and the New York Islanders, it's David and Goliath type of situation, but I like how the Islanders are looking out so far. I like how they bounce back. They win Game 2, but the Pittsburgh Penguins, they made it really hard on the Penguins in Game 3, but I still think Pittsburgh in 5. Ethan?
I think the Islanders showed some heart and some grit, especially in Game 3 when they fought out that comeback to almost win it in overtime. I think they can win maybe one or two more and push this series longer than anyone expected.
On to the next series in the East, Boston and Toronto. Of course, they play tonight. Very unexpected opener. Boston absolutely killing the Maple Leafs in the opener. 4-1, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I expected, is Boston to beat Toronto that way. But Game 2 was a little different, and Toronto showed that they can compete with the best.
Next series in the East, the Washington Capitals and New York Rangers. The Capitals leading 2-0. Not surprising, but you do expect more out of the New York Rangers. That game also is on tonight. TSN, you can find that game at 5 o'clock our time. But I still think Capitals, I said Capitals in 7. I believe those New York Rangers will fight back with all that talent they have, improving their team on the trade deadline with Brassard and Clough and others. Ethan, your thoughts on that series?
Well, Henrik Lundqvist has been a very good goalie, as we expected. Obviously, losing 1-0 is not exactly the way you want to go out, but Holtby outmatched him. I think the Capitals' offense will regain form.
And I really like the way Brayton Holtby is performing in that for the Washington Capitals. Very showing a sign of he's maturing into a more veteran goaltender in this league, and I like that.
And now we'll move on to the last series in the East, the Canadiens and the Senators. Well, last night that was quite the entertaining matchup. We all know about the line brawl, and the Habs took a little bit too far with their emotions at the end there, and Ottawa really beat them up there 6-1. Your thoughts?
I love this series for two reasons. One, they're both Canadian teams, and two, they absolutely hate each other. And that really makes this series fun to watch. I'm really liking the matchups in that series. Two good veteran goaltenders in Craig Anderson and Carey Price. But I still think, I said Senators at 7 at the start, and I'm still sticking with that prediction. I think the Ottawa Senators will pull away from the Montreal Canadiens. On to the West. The San Jose Sharks and the Vancouver Canucks. San Jose absolutely dominating Vancouver in every aspect. They're up 3-0. Ethan, your thoughts?
Antti Niemi's been better than Luongo. I thought that would be the case, but even last night with Corey Schneider, it didn't really matter. The Sharks scored 2 goals in 9 seconds in the third, scored 5 on Schneider last night, and really Canucks just look listless out there. I wouldn't be surprised if they get swept in Game 4.
And true that I don't really have much to add. You covered it all in that series. Canucks, I have one thing to add, though. I'm sick and tired of that diving. Ryan Kessler, Alex Burrows, they look like a bunch of flopping whales out there, and I'm sick of it. And hopefully that changes. You never know. I hope those Canucks get swept, that's for sure. On to the West. On to our next series in the West, 7 versus 7th seed. Very intriguing matchup. Anaheim and Detroit. Ethan?
It's been a good series. I mean, Anaheim has come back. They came back in Game 2 to almost win in overtime. Of course, Detroit blowing a 4-1 lead in that game. Anaheim shutting out Detroit last game without Danny DeKeyser, a stud college defenseman. I think they'll do okay.
On to our next series in the West, the St. Louis Blues and the Los Angeles Kings. I'm really liking the Kings in this series. I'm liking Jonathan Quick. A few mistakes, and that's been costing them games. That's been costing them big time, if you ask me. But I really think LA, being as veteran as they are, Blues being not so much of a very experienced playoff team, the LA will take this series in 7, as I said before. Ethan?
I'm starting to like the Blues in this series. I mean, you're right about Quick's mistakes, most notably when Alex Steen scored the overtime winner in Game 1. And let's not forget about the Kings, though. They have that experience from last year's Cup run. I just like the Blues' momentum right now, and the fact that Brian Elliott's doing as well as he is quite surprising, considering he was sent to the minors earlier this year.
And finally, with our NHL Stanley Cups recap here on the All-Star Sports Show, one of the most underrated series, I think. This has probably been one of my favorite series to watch. But the Minnesota Wild and Chicago Blackhawks, what a series that has been. I'll tell you, I'm happy that Jason Zucker scored the overtime winner to put the Hawks away in Game 3 yesterday, and I'll tell you why. In Game 1, Zucker hit the crossbar in overtime, which Minnesota could have been up easily, up 2-1. Game 2 was kind of a blowout, but I think these Wild have the resiliency and experience to fight back with their D-core, especially guys logging the big minutes such as Ryan Suter, Jared Spurgeon, and Jonas Brodin. Ethan?
I like that they got guys like Zach Parise with playoff experience in the offseason. It'll help them out right now. If Pominville can come back, that'll be a boost. And they were, for the most part, this year among the elite in the Western Conference. In fact, third in the Western Conference at one point. A slump at the end of the year, every team has one. I think they're a little underrated. I still see Chicago pulling this up.
Thank you for your thoughts, and this has been the Stanley Cup Playoffs recap on the All-Star Sports Show, halfway through the first round. First round will be done. The next broadcast of the All-Star Sports Show, we'll be getting you all up to date. We'll be telling you who's going on, who's not. All-Star Sports Show continues after this. Welcome back to the All-Star Sports Show, May 6th, 2013. This is our favorite part of the show. What time is it, Ethan?
Question time.
That's right, it is question time. This is where you, our viewers, ask us questions. You can send them to our Twitter at allstarsports88, or you can email us at allstarsportshow@gmail.com, or you can post them in the comments down below. Don't worry, we do see your questions. They will get answered. This one coming out from Josh. This one is for you, Ethan.
Okay.
And question for the next episode: what do you think the Avs do with the first overall pick? Trade it? Seth Jones, Drouin, or McKinnon? And also, who do you think is going to be a better NHL player, Jonathan Drouin or Nathan McKinnon? So get to the first one first. What will the Avs do with their first round pick, Ethan?
Well, it's almost like a Cinderella story. They win the draft lottery and take a guy who learned to play hockey in Denver, Colorado. The man is Seth Jones. He was almost a point-per-game player in Portland this year in the WHL, which is unheard of for a defenseman. There's no way he will not be the first overall pick in this year's draft.
And the second part of that question, get to that as well. Who will be a better NHL player, Jonathan Drouin or Nathan McKinnon?
I like Nathan McKinnon here. Obviously, as a center, he'll probably have more value. But the thing I like about those two being drafted is you have Florida and Tampa 2 and 3. In all likelihood, it'll be McKinnon, Drouin 2 and 3, and we'll get to see them play each other for a long time down in the Sunshine State.
On to our next question, Ethan.
All right, Merrick. Well, this one comes from Nick Prouse. Do you think the New York Islanders will be able to come back and beat the Pittsburgh Penguins in that series?
Well, I know Nick Prouse, big fan of the show. Shout out to you over there. I know you're an Islanders fan, and I don't know how crazy it must have been for the past few years for you to stick with the Islanders. That's for sure. But they are playing really tough in this series. A lot of people are giving them a chance. Bob McKenzie on TSN being one of those people. And we're just going to really have to see how it plays out. They do have a lot of options. They're not going to specifically win the series, but I think they will make it tough on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Next question is for you, and this comes in from, no name on this one, but, hey guys, is Dubnyk the guy for Edmonton next year?
I think he has to be. There's really nobody in the pipeline that would be good enough to supplant him as a #1 goalie next year. He was pretty average this year in most statistics, which isn't bad for a goalie, especially considering the defense playing in front of him. I think he actually has been improving every year. Probably his best year on record was this year. Can't see why he won't be the guy. Alright, Merrick, this one's for you. What do you think of the new arena being built here in Edmonton, and will it attract more fans?
Well, I've been listening to a lot of news on that, and I've been watching the sports. I've been watching Oilers.com, and I think Daryl Cates, everyone wants him to put more money on it. They still need $55 million. This is not a guaranteed project, and from a let's get away from the political part. Let's focus on the sports, us being the All-Star Sports Show. And this is absolute bullshit that Daryl Cates is saying if this arena doesn't get built by 2016, the Oilers will move. There is no way in heck Gary Bettman is going to move one of his best Canadian markets out of Canada because they don't have a proper arena. That is just ludicrous.
He has done it before, though, with the Winnipeg Jets and the Quebec Nordiques. If he sees money somewhere else, I know Kansas City just built a new arena, Seattle's going to, Quebec City's going to, and they seem to have things on the right track. We don't. I don't know. I hope they don't go, but it might happen.
Thank you, Ethan, for those thoughts, and that wraps up question time. Stay tuned to the All-Star Sports Show.
Alright, welcome back to the All-Star Sports Show. We have a new segment to introduce to you this week, and that is the All-Star of the Week. This week we'll be focusing on NHL Playoffs All-Stars. Merrick, you go first.
Yeah, just what Ethan said. We're going to be picking an All-Star of the Week each. So I'm going to go from the New York Islanders, Kyle Okposo. This guy is not the most flashiest guy in the NHL, and he's not leading the playoffs in points by any means. This guy scores when it counts. This guy is keeping them in games. He's all over the ice. And for a team like the New York Islanders, they better have everyone pitching in against a team like the Pittsburgh Penguins if they have any chance at winning this series. Ethan, who's your All-Star of the Week?
My All-Star of the Week comes from the team that is up 3-0 in their series, the San Jose Sharks, and is the goaltender Antti Niemi. He's been stellar in all their wins, as well as his whole team in front of him, and he's a big reason why they are up 3-0 in that series. Also a top 5 goaltender in most statistical categories. He's my pick.
Thank you, and that's been the All-Star of the Week segment. Stay tuned for the last few minutes of the All-Star Sports Show.
Alright, welcome back to the All-Star Sports Show. Now we're going to touch a little bit here on the MLB. Merrick, what are your big surprises to start this season?
The Toronto Blue Jays are falling down the toilet in the AL East. Nobody expected this, but I kind of had a feeling they would. Us being big Blue Jays fans here at the All-Star Sports Show, I haven't been able to watch a lot of Blue Jays, frankly, because they're not as good as they're supposed to be. And this is pissing off a lot of Torontonians, a lot of Canadians that are proud of having the Blue Jays. R.A. Dickey, he's been good this year, but they're going to have a full team effort. Jose Reyes out, really hurting them. And one thing I think that's really hurting them, the injuries. Jose Reyes is out, and they can't afford that. So Blue Jays, big surprise. Another big surprise is the Red Sox leading the MLB. John Farrell, the new manager there, they have everyone stepping up, and that's what you need to have a winning baseball team in the MLB this year. Ethan, your thoughts on the MLB this year in the first few weeks?
Well, the New York Yankees have even more injuries than the Blue Jays, and they seem to be doing just fine. In fact, with ex-Blue Jays like Vernon Wells and Lyle Overbay, the one thing about the Blue Jays, though, the guys they got in Miami lost last year, so I don't know why everyone thought it'd be so great this year. The team really, I mean, for every Jose Bautista Toronto has, Miami would have a Giancarlo Stanton to counter that. I mean, I've been putting up with this garbage forever, but they got to start winning someday, and it just doesn't look like this year is going to be the year it happens.
And that's it for the All-Star Sports Show today. Merrick DeCash
and Ethan Smythe
are signing out. And you can check us out on Twitter at All-Star Sports 88. You can email us
at allstarsportshow@gmail.com.
Thank you, and this has been another pleasure serving you for the All-Star Sports Show today. See you later, and see you next week on the All-Star Sports Show.